Hello, everybody, and welcome to this bonus show.
Welcome to the bonus show.
Bonus show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our bonus show. This
Bit of a different bonus show this week, Gus. We actually have a guest. Normally it's you and I just talking garbage to each other, which we do pretty well, we must say. People like our bonus shows online. And, you know, we often talk to people with disability on this podcast, but today we have a special guest who has a big impact on the lives of people living with disability in this country. I've done some work with this person. We've done some cool stuff together that I've been excited about, and it's cool to get her on the podcast today. She's the Minister for the Department of Social Services, Amanda Rishworth. How you doing?
Great. Doing very well. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
All right, before we get into it, don't lie to us. Do you listen to Listen Able or not?
Look, I don't get to listen to anything regularly, I'll be honest. I have popped it on a couple of times, and I think people do enjoy your chit-chat together. But look, unfortunately, I don't get to listen to anything on a regular basis.
All right, well, my little tit-tat before we start then is, Amanda, you're honourable. Amanda Rishworth. How do you feel about a title of honourable? And I don't know you personally. How do you feel about strangers feeling like they should say the honourable Amanda Rishworth? You obviously deserve the title, but how does that feel?
It feels very weird. What feels also weird is when people call me Miss Rishworth. I feel like where's my mum? I look around for my mum. So, I don't really use the honourable that much. I just particularly like to go with Amanda. That's the easiest. People say, how should we introduce you? Amanda's just fine.
All right, we're going to stick with Amanda then. Amanda, you've been in Gov now in Australia for people who live overseas for about a year now over this portfolio, which obviously has a big effect and a big impact on people with disability. How have you enjoyed it? How's the first year been, and what's been some of the things you've been most proud of?
Look, it's been a really exciting year. I have really enjoyed it, particularly though what I've enjoyed is I've often described, being in opposition, I'll be honest, you feel like that you've got all care, but, in terms of actually making a difference, you're somewhat limited. So by getting into government and somewhat having your hand on the pen, you're actually able to make a difference. And so hasn't been without its challenges, I'll be honest. There's always challenges, a lot of unexpected things that get thrown at you. But when you're actually able to see that you've actually made a step towards something you're passionate about, then that is really satisfying. And I think a lot of people have said, have you enjoyed it? And I said, look, enjoy is probably not the accurate word. The level of satisfaction is probably, satisfaction is probably the word that most springs to mind.
Now, we're recording this before you are about to jet off to New York with a bunch of delegates with people with disability from this country for a bit of a conference. Gus, Listen Able, wasn't asked to go broadcast there. Obviously, we must have been next in line, obviously. But can you tell?
Well, Amanda hasn't been listening.
Yeah, it's still not too late. Amanda, tell us about what you're going to and what it's all about.
Well, look, this is probably the most significant meeting of people with disability and governments from around the world. It is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability. And I think it's a really important reminder. I think often we do talk about disability in a sense of not actually the lived experience. So this conference is an opportunity for governments to reaffirm their commitment about individual human rights of people with disability, to be held accountable, of course, as we know, our country, as many others, have signed up to the convention, but also take a group of delegates of civil society that are able to give their perspectives. And one of the things I'm really pleased with the delegation going over is a lot of them are under the age of 21. So it's young people that have not necessarily been advocates for a long time, but this will enable them particularly to be able to put their voices forward, as well as a variety of different I guess, disability types, a significant number of people with intellectual disabilities. And so I think that will provide a really important opportunity for them to participate in what is one of the largest meetings and to really refocus the world on the rights of people with disability.
We do have some questions from our audience. These are questions that people have sent us, knowing with about 48 hours notice that you're going to be on the podcast. Are you up to answering some of their questions?
As long as it's not as hard in time.
No, that'll be good. You'll be fine. Rapid answer. This is from Toby on Facebook. Why did you decide to take on a portfolio around disability?
Yeah, look, I got into politics. I was a psychologist before I was in politics. And my whole aim in politics is to improve quality of life for people. If you get to improve quality of life, then, you know, that's what politics for me is all about. And so whether it's disability, whether it's people from marginalised, disadvantaged backgrounds, it's where you can make the most difference. Governments can make a significant difference, and you can really support people to improve their quality of life. So it's pretty much as simple as that. And that's why I got into politics, and that's what I want to be doing.
Hannah asks on our Instagram, how do you ensure that lived experience is listened to when making government and policy decisions?
Good one.
Yeah, that is a really important question. And I think there's two parts to that. There's making sure that as minister and I have a lot of conversations with people with disability. That's the informal way. I have to have a good understanding of lived experience but there's also all the formal mechanisms we need to have in place to make sure that lived experience is inputted. And we've just started, for example, our autism strategy, where we have on that group people from a diverse lot of backgrounds, all with lived experience or a connection to lived experience. We're not going to get it right if we don't connect with lived experience. And so having a number of real formal mechanisms, we've got an advisory group for the Australia's Disability Strategy to give advice as well. But there has to be not just the formal groups, but the formal mechanism into government as well. So that design is really important in how we channel those advisory groups into actually making sure people are listening. I'm very conscious of setting up structures that do that.
This is from Anonymous on our Insta. I have a disabled daughter and I worry about her employment opportunities when she grows up. I lose sleep over it. What are we doing as a country to ensure she can find work?
Employers need to just think outside the box here. And they don't have to think outside the box in the sense of expensive workplace modifications. We know 88% of people living with disability don't need any modifications at work. 82% don't take any time off work because of their disability. We need an attitude change from many businesses around the country, but it's also confidence. It's a confidence piece. And so I think ensuring that we're working with employers, and we've put in a number of programs to work with employers, but then it's also about confidence for people living with disability and really coming from, and I know this is a lot of work you've been doing, Dylan, allowing people with disability to come from a strength-based perspective and showcase their skills and abilities, and to really get employers to understand the really good stuff on offer. So that's part of it, and there's been a number of programs we've been funding. The other thing is we need some changes in our disability employment services. We spend as a government a lot on disability employment services, and believe it or not, the participants' experience is not part of the formal ratings for disability employment services. When I found that out, I was just like, what? So we are hopefully on the 1st of July starting to embed as a short-term input participants' experience as part of the formal rating process. But over time, we need a lot more reform in disability employment services to make sure that they really are connecting people with disability with the work. So I think there's some passion there, and I think there's some bright future. So my message would be that when your daughter is ready for a job, I hope we will have shifted the dial significantly there, and her expertise and skills will be welcomed.
Last question. This is right in your wheelhouse as well. Now, I'm on a disability. This comes from, Peter on Facebook. I'm on a disability support pension and I can't work full time due to my disability. However, I want to find some part-time work, yet I'm worried it'll affect my pension, leaving me at risk if my work falls through. Will there be a time when I can work without it affecting the rate of my pension?
Yeah, look, the disability pension is, of course, means tested. So if you do work, depending on your income, it does get cut. A lot of people don't know there is an income-free threshold. So you can work a certain amount and still get your full disability pension. And then as time goes by, if you're working more, it does what's called taper off. So there is an ability to try work, but not affect your pension or reduce your pension. A lot of people do talk to me, it's not about the amount of pension, it's about falling off the pension, and then if work doesn't work out, having to apply back on the pension. And so it's not as well known that you can get zero pension for 2 years and still not have to reapply. So you could be working 29 hours a week at a higher salary and still have that pension sitting there if that work doesn't work out. Now, people have given me feedback that they're worried about, is that time frame long enough? Is the income support free area enough? And that's certainly something that we have asked the white paper into workforce participation to look at. So we are very keen to look at. But one of those things is if you do keep your pension but don't get necessarily any pension but still eligible, you'll still get your concession card for 2 years as well. So a lot of people don't know that that's available, but it is.
Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. In the future, we are hoping to have Mr. Albanese, our Prime Minister, and of course, Bill Shorten as well. So we do want to speak to our representatives who are representing the people who listen. So thank you for coming on. And good luck in New York.
Thank you.
Thanks, Minister.
It's a bonus-ode.
So I can keep going as well.
Please don't.